Hello, welcome to episode 15. This is Becoming Resilient podcast with yours truly. This is Conversations with a Cancer Conqueror, and I'm delighted that you're here with me. I don't know about you, but there's a day to celebrate something every day, and every month there's a focus. Focus is great. Focus is important, where you focus in on one issue. And the time of this recording happens to be the month of Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Canada. For us, that is October. But I want to encourage you that this conversation is an ongoing one. And the purpose of this podcast is not just for 1 month, but for every day and any day. And so this information can be shared at any time, and that we don't need to have 1 month where we just focus on this subject, because I like to give you some information that it has been surveyed, and the stats are showing that approximately 75 women are being diagnosed with breast cancer every day in Canada. That's right, at least 75 women every day. When you multiply that and you add that up, that adds up to a lot of numbers. So somewhere in the world, maybe a friend, a relative, or somebody connected to you is being diagnosed with this illness. And you have probably heard it, but I'll say it again, that early detection is important. And on this episode, I want to encourage you to not be discouraged about, is there a cure? Is there a cure? That is a common question that is being asked. Many people believe that there is a cure that is not being shared, that all the awareness that we're bringing and all the requests for fundraising that we're bringing for this disease are being utilized elsewhere. Now, I can tell you that when I participate in an activity or with a group, that I do my due diligence to ensure that when it comes to the act of fundraising, that the funds are being utilized wisely. There are 2 charities that I am a part of, and one of them is involved in researching right at this moment for a cure, a treatment, particularly even a treatment to women who are of African descent who have been diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. Why triple negative and why women of African descent? Because the research has shown that when triple negative breast cancer is diagnosed in a woman of African descent, it shows up differently, and we respond differently to treatment. Dr. Juliet Daniels over at McMaster University is doing some serious research. And one of the things that she was sharing along with some other researchers and medical practitioners is one that I want you to take away from this podcast is to look around and see if you are interacting or you know of young people or you have influence or impact with young people who are considering going into the field of the sciences, and particularly cancer research, that we encourage them to go into it and to study it, because there are when I tell you there are very few people who are studying this particular issue. And so women from an African descent are dying and are suffering because many times when they are given the treatment of chemo and radiation, many times if they have triple negative, it is not always a guarantee that they are going to respond to that effectively. I know of an individual who now has stage 4 and has been told that in order to stay alive, she's going to have to stay on this chemo. Chemo can be positive and negative because, as I've said before, it destroys a lot of the healthy cells. So if you have a young person or a teenager or somebody, they don't even have to be a teenager, but they have been considering getting involved in the field of research, please encourage them, because we want to, there are efforts being made to get grants to encourage them in their studies, because we can't wait 30, 40 years for somebody to find a better treatment for these women who are being diagnosed. So we want to encourage that. Now, I also want to uh, encourage you to contribute to those organizations who are actually doing research towards this. And like I said, they are very few and far between. Secondly, so not only encourage young people to get involved in research towards treatment, better treatment. Also, the organization is also trying to get test results and specimens from around the Caribbean nations, because the stats that we presently have in Canada are not accurate, and we don't have a lot of stats. We have relied for a lot of time on American data. Now, America is very big and their stats are great, but we are trying to encourage stats here in Canada so that we can measure the outcomes. I want to also encourage you, if you know anybody that is going through a cancer journey, whether it be breast cancer or otherwise, that if there are trials, clinical trials that come up, that they consider volunteering to participate in these trials. I know as Black people, as people of color, we know of historical data where we have been abused or slighted. When we think about clinical trials, and I'm speaking about clinical trials in specific, we know of instances in history where we have been tested, we have been used as guinea pigs. The outcomes have not been positive. And so many of us have strayed away, not wanting to participate in clinical trials. It is now 2022, and I want to encourage you to do your due diligence when a clinical trial comes up that would be advantageous. Why am I encouraging that? Because if we participate in those trials and they are able to get data that they can use to help provide solutions, better treatment that has better outcomes, that will come from the trials. Did you hear what I said? We can't recommend, and it cannot be provided better treatment if trials are not conducted to the people who are needing the treatment. So, for instance, let me break it down. If I was diagnosed today and there was a clinical trial that has been worked on, and they are looking for volunteers to participate in that trial, I would consider that if it would help to improve my outcomes, and if the data from me and several others together would be able to provide measurable outcomes to assist in the healing of the disease. I heard a doctor speak on the weekend about her father who was given a short time to live. However, there was a clinical trial that came available and he participated in it. And what happened was it lengthened his life here. It gave him 3 more years because his body responded. Now, I'm not saying that these clinical trials will provide an eternity, because God has numbered our days. Our days are numbered according to scripture. And so there's a lot of times, every one of us, in between that dash, the day that we're born, and then there's a dash, and then there's an ending, there is a specific time when we will pass. In the meantime, if our lives can be extended because we have the benefit of a treatment that is going to help us to be able to navigate life better for an extended time, why not be a part of it? So I want to encourage you with those 2 things today, to consider research, to look at the research, but also to ask questions. We have to advocate, you as an individual, whether it's breast cancer or it's another physical illness, ask questions and keep searching, keep asking, be kind. We know that our healthcare system is at an all-time explosion, that things are not going well. But I don't want to speak to the negativity of that today. What I want to speak to is you advocating for yourself, using your voice, asking the questions, being persistent, and being courageous. And I want to wrap with just a couple of quotes that I think will inspire you. If you're a person of faith, and if you're not a person of faith, this this podcast is coming to you from someone who has relied on her faith in God to pull us through. Even now, there's situations where I'm dealing with a friend who is going through very, very terrible incidents of cancer. But even as I speak to the mother of this individual, and as I speak with my friends um, who are grieving right now because of a loss of one of our coworkers due to the horrible disease of cancer, I want to encourage you to keep fighting, to keep your whole head up. I want to encourage you to maximize every day that you are alive, because remember, resilience is a muscle that you develop. And through every experience that we encounter, that we go through, we are becoming stronger, tougher, and more persistent. And as we develop resilience, we can empower and educate somebody else to do the same. The enemy of our souls, his name's Satan, he's a real enemy, but his warfare on our life is to cause us to become discouraged. The enemy wants us to become discouraged and to cast away our confidence. And so I want to encourage you, as Bob Sorge says, the enemy wants us to cast away our confidence. But my confidence is in a God who created me, who knows my every move. He knows my beginning and my end. And he's proven himself throughout history, time and time again. And he has proven himself in my life time and time again. Stand confidently, because the enemy of your soul wants you to be discouraged. That's his plan. Another quote I want to share with you from Bob Sorge is that the wisest thing you'll ever do in this life is to draw close to God and to seek him with all your heart. The wisest thing that you can do is to draw close to God and to seek him with all your heart. I wrote a song on a CD. Yes, a CD that was recorded several years ago. It's called Draw Me Nearer, and we still have copies available. If you would like to get a copy, you can contact me. They're $10 each. You can also listen to it on Spotify and Apple Music. It was a live recording done in Brampton, Ontario. One of my favorite songs on this recording is "You Are God." And it was written while I was a young person. I was a teenager, and I was just astounded by the beauty of nature, the trees, the clouds, the fields. When I look outside and I witness God's creation, it tells me that he's in control. Yes, there are hurricanes. Yes, there are what we call acts of God. Yes, there are catastrophes that happen. But what it shows me and tells me is that there is a God, and I am not him. There is a God. I am not him. He is bigger than all of our situations and our circumstances, but I am confident that he is in control. And the reason why I recorded this album and called it Draw Me Near was specifically for times like these that we're living in. That how do we draw near to him? We commune with him, we talk with him, we speak with him, we pray with him. And as we are close to him, we can hear his voice. And he's going to encourage us in those moments when we're discouraged. Yes, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I want you to know and be aware that there are many people around us that are suffering, that are being challenged. But as my friend Cheryl Nemhard says, get up, sis. You're a warrior. And what she wanted to convey through this is that there are times when we feel discouraged. There are times when we feel weary, but sometimes you've got to speak to yourself and you've got to get up and remember who you are. You're not just a fly by night. You're a warrior, and warriors are armed and ready and dangerous. So whatever you're facing, I want you to know that you can face it head on. I want you to be encouraged that every day you are becoming resilient, putting one step and one foot in front of the other. Greatness is ahead of you. You can do this. We'll get through this together. Have a great day. God bless.